You know that awesome feeling that you get when you open a loot box and a legendary skin for your favorite Overwatch hero comes out? Are you ever curious as to what the probability is, what the likelihood of that is to happen? Well, now there's no need to wonder, as Blizzard has officially come out and given us the numbers, the math. This is all as a result of China passing a law not too long ago that forced online games with loot boxes to publicly announce item probabilities. And you might be wondering, well, why would China even do this in the first place? It all comes down to spending money on loot boxes is essentially gambling. So China felt as if, for the sake of their population, that there should be at least some further understanding of what people are putting their money towards, how much they're gambling, the likelihood of them getting what they seek. They felt that this information should be made publicly available. As a result of this, Blizzard China came out and posted a detailed list of probabilities for the Uprising event specifically. So this is pertaining, according to this post, directly to the Uprising event. Who knows if this probability is any different from traditional Overwatch loot boxes or from loot boxes from prior events. There's really no way to know. So let's break down the post here. Basically, for loot box content, as we know, each loot box contains 4 items, which means a cosmetic or in-game currency to unlock cosmetics. So a rare quality, that is going to happen in every single loot box. At least one rare or higher quality item will come with every loot box. For epic quality, on average, every 5.5 loot boxes will contain an item of epic quality. And if you're wondering about the math, that translates to about 18.19, or let's just say 19% on average. 19% of the time, you'll get something of epic quality. And now for legendary, the big kahuna here, legendary probability is 13.5 loot boxes. Of every 13.5, you'll get an item of legendary quality. This translates to about 7.5% chance to get a legendary. So there you go, rare in every loot box, about a 20% chance for an epic, and about a 7.5% chance for a legendary. Now, as we mentioned, this blog post was specifically referencing the Uprising event, so we don't know how this applies to past events or how it applies to the base Overwatch loot boxes. I haven't seen any official Blizzard posts for those base loot boxes. So now that the Uprising event is over, who knows if these values translate into the loot boxes that you might be opening right now. But even more so, this was Blizzard China. This wasn't base Blizzard out of California. This wasn't Blizzard Europe. This was specifically Blizzard China. And it's worth emphasizing because they could very well have different probabilities. With that said, people have run several tests, and these numbers seem to fall in line with people opening hundreds and thousands of loot boxes and running the math and putting up those numbers. About a 20% chance for an epic and about a 7.5% chance for a legendary. It pretty much checks out. So I'm not gonna jump to, this could just be a cover-up. Maybe China has a higher probability, but at the same time, different regions could very well have different probabilities. I've heard people talk about the idea that developers kind of will change, and we know developers change their policies. You'll see, say, for example, MMOs that have certain payment models released in the East, and when they come over here to the West, they change completely. Their cash shops change, their subscription models change, all of that. Depending on the region these games come out in, any game company, Blizzard included, is willing to change sort of how it's presented to that audience. And loot box probabilities is also something that could potentially change depending on how likely they think a certain region is to spend money, given how many legendary items they get, etc., etc. A few more things though that I think are worth discussing about loot boxes. First off, I would be curious, Hearthstone, it's been said, has a system that guarantees a legendary after you reach a certain threshold. So say you've opened up 20 packs in Hearthstone. If you haven't gotten a legendary yet, your next pack is guaranteed to have one. We'd be very curious to know if Overwatch has a similar mechanic, where if you open up a certain number of loot boxes and you have yet to get a legendary, boom, next box is guaranteed to give you at least one legendary skin. And this would offset the low probability of someone continuing to roll and never getting that 7.5% chance of a legendary skin in a loot box that they open. And it just happens box after box after box after box. And Blizzard eventually says, look, if we don't give them a legendary, they're going to stop buying loot boxes because they're going to feel like the odds are really low, even though it's just they continue to do that dice roll. And unfortunately for them, it hasn't worked in their favor. And on the the other end, someone got a legendary in like 10 loot boxes in a row. You know, this is just how the probability and stuff pans out. But if you have this kind of pity system, if you want to call it that, where, you know, again, if someone hasn't gotten anything in a long time, you want to incentivize them to keep buying. That's kind of the greedy corporate part of it. But yes, this is, you know, Blizzard is funding future development with this. So the whole loot box system revolves around this psychological desire to get these high rarity items to get you to spend more money. This is literally how it's designed. It's all probabilities, it's all math and psychology to try to get you to keep spending until you get what you want. So let's not pretend that what I'm saying here is too far-fetched. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do have a system similar to Hearthstone where, yeah, you do guarantee a legendary after a certain amount of time. You know, numbers aside, 20% chance of an epic, 7.5% chance of a legendary. I think what most people are probably more curious about are what are the probabilities of duplicates? Because you can tell me that, yeah, we've got a 7.5% chance to get a legendary, or that we will get a legendary roughly every 13.5 loot boxes, but what are the odds that that legendary is going to be one that I already have? I think that's a big question in a lot of people's mind, especially in a game like Overwatch, where you can't trade duplicate skins, and the currency kickback that you get for a duplicate skin is, let's be honest, rather abysmal. Like, it is but a fraction. We're not even talking half the value. It is a very small fraction of the of what it would cost you to outright purchase the skin with currency that you get back if you get a duplicate skin. And that's something that I would really like to see Blizzard address in the future. I don't know that they're going to. I don't know that there's enough kickback from the community, because percentage-wise, this is kind of how these systems tend to work. It's a very small percentage that spend a large portion of the money on loot boxes. So say something like it's only 5%. It might not be enough pressure on Blizzard to change the fact that you hardly get anything back for duplicate skins. I appreciate this happening. I appreciate that China had passed this law that forced online games to publicly announce their item probabilities. We still don't know if these probabilities align with regions outside of China. We also don't know if these probabilities align with events besides the Uprising one, because this one specifically referenced to the Uprising event. And then lastly, we still don't know about duplicates. We don't know what the probability of duplicates are compared to new legendary items. I think that's something that, I don't know, should also be addressed. All of that stuff aside, this is a great step in the right direction. I appreciate Blizzard doing this. Even if they only did it because they were forced to by China law, I'm glad that it's happened. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for me here today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know what you think about this topic, about these, now that we know the hard numbers. How do you feel about them? Do you think it's fair? I mean, obviously, everyone would like higher percent chance to get legendaries, but I don't think 7.5% is too awful. I'm really just more concerned with the likelihood of duplicates, which seems to be very frequent, and then how little you get when you actually do roll one of those duplicates as a skin. So thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a good one. And until next time, I'll see you later.